Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, who forgot to put his work email. So I will do that real quick. And today I have with me Craig Foster, CEO at Ondo Insurtech, and Jim Strickland, General Manager for North America at Ondo Insurtech. So Craig and Jim, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Tony. How are you? Good to meet you.
I am doing well. Very nice to meet you both. Um, so we're recording at November 11th. Usually break the ice over the weather, which I'm guessing at Detroit, uh, cold but not snowy yet.
Not snowy yet up there. Nope.
Perfect. And or I yeah, you are listed as Detroit. Okay. And London, I'm guessing dreary.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, the thing is, Tony, it's grey and dreary, but then actually in England, it's grey and dreary most of the year. So even if you're asking me in July, I'd probably say it was grey and dreary. But yeah, definitely grey and dreary at the moment.
okay. Is it definitely winter or still kind of the end of
Yeah, I'd
fall?
say still just about in autumn still at the moment.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we always give the guests the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Ondo Insurtech?
Do you want to do it, Jim, or shall I go first?
Go right ahead, Craig.
So Ondo Insurtech, Tony, we're creating a world leader in claim prevention technology for home insurers specifically. So we're focused specifically on the problem of water damage claims. You know, they cause about a third of all home insurance claims, and it's the damage caused by small water leaks on pipes. So we've got a proprietary solution called Leakbot, and it's got a unique sensor technology. A small single unit can detect a leak anywhere on a mains water system. But the other thing that makes it unique is we integrate that with our own plumbing services solution. So we actually send a plumber into the home to find and fix the root cause of the problem. And it's all provided for free to the homeowner and paid for by the insurance company in the background. And why do they do that? They do that because they get a return on investment because we're so good at finding and fixing the root cause of the leaks that cause claims that we can demonstrate an immediate ROI on the solution. So we work with 19 insurance companies in 4 countries, and we've recently really broken through in the United States. So that's in the 60-second pitch.
Perfect. So yes, water. Not a surprise. I've heard a lot of how water is one of the main causes of loss in the property space. Very interesting. So you're not the first device that I run into, right? The like IoT device that I run into when it comes to water and leaks.
Mhm.
But the the fact that you have it integrated with an actual plumbing service,
Mhm.
uh, that's a whole new thing. Like I just hadn't heard that before, right? So is that an entirely new offering to the industry?
Yeah, it certainly is in Europe, and I think it is in United States too. Hey, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the combination of the sensor, which is the early warning technology and lets us know where to send our plumbers to find and fix small leaks in homes before they become big leaks. That's a business model that doesn't exist anywhere else that I'm aware of in the world, quite frankly. And that is what makes us very successful in the markets that we're in.
And and it's the rare true win-win, right?
Yes, yes.
Where the homeowner is getting a benefit,
They're not getting a water leak sensor, they're getting free leak repair service for their home.
which is
That's a
crazy.
very different proposition for most homeowners than here's a free water leak detector. I know every time I have to have a plumber sent to my home, I'm writing hundreds of dollars worth of checks.
Mm.
So convincing the carriers to be, and I'm guessing that the carrier is paying both for the sensor and then for the ongoing service,
That's correct.
right? So convincing the carrier seems to be the hard part. I mean, in the long term, given how big the overall losses can be on aggregates, in the long term, the ROI makes perfect sense. But I'm downright shocked that you've managed to convince at least some carriers that it makes sense to actually do it. So I'm always curious on the origin story. Where did the idea come from, and how did you develop it?
Yeah, the company started out live, Tony, is I set up an innovation lab for a UK corporate called HomeServe. So the HomeServe, it was a kind of FTSE 250 company. It was founded about 30 years ago now, and what they were doing was they had big networks of plumbers and heating engineers and electricians, and they were selling that as a service. So you paid a monthly fee, and if you had a problem, they'd send someone in the home. So I was doing various kind of senior management roles for them. And then as a kind of part-time thing, I set up an innovation lab for them because we could see that the Internet of Things was going to be significant for the business. And most of the projects we were doing were in connected heating, like smart thermostats. I set up the first installation network for Nest before they were bought by Google in the UK, for example. So we were doing those types of partnerships. But then we had this kind of crazy side project where we realized that Internet of Things leak detectors weren't very good. They were either really expensive and you had to plumb them in, cut the pipe, or they were these kind of poxy, I think it's quite a British word, that, isn't it? But these poxy kind of pucks where you just place them somewhere and you hope that water might fall exactly on top of it to tell you that there's a leak there. So you need about 1,000 of them in different, but then pretty much useless, to be honest. So we thought, well, there must be a better way. So we found a guy who's like a really clever PhD boffin and said, can you think of a way that we could detect a leak without cutting a pipe anywhere in a house, just with a single sensor? So he came up with this way of doing it. But it was like this crazy side project at the beginning. But then it was through a chance conversation with someone at a UK insurance company. And they were like, holy moly, like you guys have figured something out for the insurance industry that we're all looking for. Because they were thinking the Internet of Things has got a big implication for homeowners insurance. And they were testing the pucks, finding they were quite useless. They were testing the plumbed-in systems, really expensive, no real business case. So the fact that we had this small, low-cost, clip-on, self-install thing that could detect a leak anywhere on a mains water system, the kind of light bulb went on, really. And if you fast forward another year, this company, HomeServe, got bought out by the Canadian conglomerate Brookfield for about £4 billion a few years ago. And that gave us the opportunity, myself and the guy who's now our chairman, we made a pitch to the HomeServe board and said, look, can we try and spin this company out? You could be a minority shareholder, but if we can find investment, can we essentially buy the company out and go our own way? And they said, look, if we can put the right deal together, we're open to it. So in 2022, that's when we became Ondo Insurtech and we listed on the London Stock Exchange. So it's quite an odd origin story, Tony. But what's interesting about it is in the lab, I was given a lot of free rein and was able to go hire really good tech talent and bring a lot of digital talent into the team. But what I had already from HomeServe is lots of people who really understood plumbing. They really understood boring things about fixing faucets and how to fix a water closet. And it was that mix of high tech with old school plumbing knowledge that kind of led to the solution. That's quite a hard thing actually to recreate.
Yeah, I know nothing about plumbing, but I'm shocked that it does not require significant installation, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't require cutting into a pipe or
Mm.
something along the lines. I would have expected at the very least that it would require that to be able to detect the leak.
I've got one here, Tony. I'll show it to you. Look, so if you think where the shut-off valve is in your property, and then the device, it's this kind of this size comes in the post. So the carrier offers that for free. And then it's like, show it on the camera. There's like a small clip on the back. So the installation process is basically you clip it to the pipe. And that is as complicated as it gets. So that sensor there is measuring the flow of water, but it's really sensitive. So it can detect a leak that's about, how do you describe it, Jim? Like half a teaspoonful a minute.
Right.
So a very, very small drip. And it doesn't matter where that is in the property. You can have I mean, we work for example, Pure, one of the biggest high net worth underwriters in the US. These guys have got 10-bedroom properties. It doesn't matter if the leak is on the 5th floor of a 15-bedroom mansion. This will still detect it where the shutoff valve is in the house. But then the key is not just that sensor, like Jim was saying, it's the fact that then a guy in a Leakbot uniform, in a Leakbot van, turns up with a load of high-tech equipment, and it's all free, and we'll carry on fixing things until we're done. So we'll fix, if it needs to, we'll fix 3 things, 5 things in the property until the property's leak-free. And that adds up to a very compelling customer experience. I mean, in the US, actually, it's funny talking now, Tony, because I've told you the markets are closed in the UK, so we can tell you there's an announcement that when your listeners hear this, it will be, have been out for a while. But tomorrow morning, Nationwide are announcing the results of a pilot that they did in one single state, in Ohio, and they'll reveal tomorrow that they're in their own words, they say the results have been remarkable. They got an 87 net promoter score and a 4.9 out of 5 customer satisfaction score with the in-home visit, as well as us fixing a lot of claims. They're going to release their own case study tomorrow of a particular claim that we caught, that we prevented a really expensive claim by catching a leak early. And that's really what our system is all about, finding those leaks early and fixing them before they've had chance to actually cause significant damage to a property.
So the installation, literally clip it on. Do I have to log the device into my Wi-Fi so it can communicate back home? Okay.
Yeah.
And how long does that take to set it up once I clip it on?
I mean, just download the app, and then it's a couple of steps. I mean, 3 to 5 minutes, and it's pretty much done.
All right. How long are we expecting the device to work before we have to replace them?
Well, I mean, there's no real moving parts in the devices, so they last a really long time. The only thing that the customer might have to, it's powered by 2 AA batteries, so sometimes you have to replace them. But I mean, when I say sometimes, every 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, so not too hard when you do the batteries for your fire detector,
Yeah,
for your smoke detector. Do the batteries for your one Leakbot. So that seems pretty easy. All right. I'm always asking about integration because carriers have horrific technical debt. But in this case, you don't have to integrate into our claim systems. You don't have to integrate into our policy management system. Like it's kind of a separate completely.
It absolutely is, Tony. I mean, there's no requirement to actually integrate into any back-end systems. Now, some of our partners who are farther down the path with us, once you get to a programmatic stage of a rollout, they want some integration into the back end systems. They want to be able to ingest that data into an underwriting system to be able to understand if a customer has an open leak or they're leak free when they are renewing that policy. So there's a lot of interesting data that they can use in the underwriting process once they go to a programmatic type rollout.
Okay, but integration in general should be really painless, basically.
It's really it's a fairly simple API type integration. As long as you can ingest data via an API, we can push it over.
Okay. What
I think one of the points that hasn't been made here is and you said it, how do you get the carrier to get on board with doing this, to spend the money for the solution? And it really is it's very fascinating actually. When our plumbers go out to homes, most of the time they're finding very small leaks that aren't causing damage or would potentially cause damage. But when they find a damage causing leak or a potentially damage causing leak, they put together an entire claims mitigation report with pictures and moisture scans. So basically, I'm bringing these situations and I'm bringing the executive's eyes into these properties. So they see with their own eyes what we're finding and fixing in these homes. And you show an insurance executive a half a dozen or a dozen of those reports in the first 90 days of a pilot program, they get incredibly excited about what they see with their eyes. You can't unsee it once you do see it. And that's the reason why the solution is being adopted so quickly with US insurers, and we're expanding so rapidly across the country.
Fantastic. What is the pricing like?
We charge insurance carriers $5 a month for the service, and it truly is a service per home, $5 a month per home for the service, and that includes the sensor, it includes the app, and it includes as many times as our plumbers have to go out to homes to find and fix leaks. Nobody pays for a plumbing repair visit. It is strictly the carrier pays $5 a month per home. That's it.
Okay. Oh, so they're not buying the sensor up front.
No, they're not.
The $5 per home.
It's a service.
Okay, and that makes it it also it makes it an incredible it makes it a fixed expense basically.
It does.
It's much easier for me to predict and bake into the budget how many homes I insure times $5 than how many times the plumbers went out and how much that costs.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
It's you know exactly in advance, Tony, how much it's going to cost, and it's really easy to track. But also the reason why carriers like it is that exactly aligns to the returns as well, because you can track the claims mitigation and the underwriting reduction on a per policy basis. So it's really easy to measure the ROI. And credit to Jim, because in our earlier phases of the business in Europe, we had much more complicated pricing where there was an upfront fee and then there was a small recurring fee and then you paid something for every visit. And it was really complicated for insurers to understand in advance like how much things were going to cost. And it was one of the innovations that Jim brought, is just to really simplify all of that and just charge one fixed recurring fee. And that's been really successful. All of our US deals are like that. And actually, the more recent deals we've done in Europe are based on the same model now. It's we've exported that back into Europe now, Jim.
Yeah, I would not have expected the pricing to be quite that simple.
Yeah, that's part of you know, to give you a comparison, the plumbed in systems, they're usually, you know, $400 or $500 as an upfront for the kit, and they still require professional installation as well. And even when they detect a leak, there's no one's integrated, you know, going in to then go fix it anyway. So it's very hard for anyone to compete with us at the price point that we're at, with the plumbing service integrated as well. I think we are in a sweet spot, and that's why we get such a good good reaction from partners. I mean, when Jim first came on board and was pitching this in the US, it was always the pitch went down very well with US carriers because they tried other things. They wanted it to work. They couldn't quite find a solution that really, really quite hit the spot in terms of having a kind of business case and a theory that worked. And they liked our theory, but the question was, can we really do it in the US? Can we deliver the right customer service? Can we prove that we can deliver the ROI in the US? I mean, and Jim signed 5 US partners at the time of recording this, 5 US partners in the last 12 months. We had launched into 4 US states. Tomorrow, we announced nationwide are expanding into 16 states. So we'll be, as of tomorrow, in 18 states across the US. And every single partner deployment's gone the same way. We've had the same results 3 months in. We've shown them, plus 80 net promoter score, consistently, almost 5 out of 5 customer satisfaction scores. And always, like Jim says, been able to show them real life case studies very quickly of specific case studies in homes that what we fixed. And we show them to the chief underwriting officer, and they're sold very quickly because they go, oh yeah, I recognize that every day. That's a $30,000 claim. That's a $20,000 claim, or would have been. So we've got a model that works. And now the next step of the journey we're on is from 4 states to 18 states, and then onwards from there, and bringing more partners on board as well. I would imagine by the time you've published the podcast, Tony, there's probably a few more announcements in between about other partnerships we've launched as well.
What is the ROI? What are the clients saying the ROI they're seeing is?
For first 90 to 120 days of the program, they're seeing ROIs of 200 to 500%. So they're seeing savings twice as much to 5 times as what they spent on the Leakbot program. It's very compelling. I've been at this for 30 plus years, bringing innovative solutions to the insurance business. I have yet to really find one, with the exception of Leakbot, that has such a compelling value proposition. So it's just a matter of getting this out there, getting the information in front of enough insurance carriers, and we believe that very soon an army of bots will be running across the country, protecting as many homes as we can get them into. So it should happen fairly quickly over the next few years.
I've definitely seen your team in multiple conferences over at least the last year. So you're definitely visible, which when you have a product like this, it makes so much sense. To be honest, like my bigger worry is the sustainability at $5 a month. Is it actually profitable on your side?
Tony, we're a publicly traded company. You are free to go look at our financials whenever you'd like, and you'll be able to see exactly how it works. Because yes, we have to produce a profit.
Publicly traded in London, by the way,
in London, on the London Stock Exchange, yes.
Who want to really nerd out and check out the finances. All right. So what are you excited for in the future of this product slash service?
Well, it's a very exciting time for us, Tony, really. I think we've worked hard over a lot of years getting the value proposition right, getting the technology right, getting the service right. And sometimes it's all about timing. I mean, it was very exciting being at ITC in Vegas. You mentioned being a few different shows. We've been to the last few ITCs, and the last one in particular was just a really great experience because, 5 years ago, the Internet of Things was like the hot new technology. There was loads of IoT startups, and half of them you couldn't really understand what they were doing, but it was like the cool kind of tech buzzword. And now, 5 years later, everything's about AI, and that's where all the excitement is. But like all technologies, they go through that curve. And the only IoT solutions that are around now are the ones that have kind of proven out and proven to work. And there's a company called Whisker Labs that have this solution, Ting, that in some ways is very similar to ours. It's a self-install sensor. They send it in the post. It plugs into the mains electricity, and it can detect electrical arcs to prevent household fires. And they hit 100,000 homes a couple of years ago. And while we were at ITC, they announced that they just hit 1 million homes. And State Farm announced that their ambition is to get the solution into 2 million homes in the US. So they've really gone through an exponential growth curve. And it was great. We know the team there, but we spent quite a bit of time with them at ITC, went for a few beers with them, and it was really fun just exchanging insights with each other about the challenges we face and the stages that we're at, and finding out how similar our two businesses are really. But I see no reason why we couldn't follow the same kind of growth path as those guys have, and it's helpful for us that they've kind of paved the way. I think we're at that time in the insurance industry where these types of risk mitigation solutions, if they really work and they actually deliver a return on investment, that carriers are at the point where they're getting more serious about the programmatic rollouts and integrations into their actual core policy, rather than just, experiments on the sideline. So it does feel like the time is right for us now. So no, it's very, very exciting. Just sticking to as we say in England, sticking to the knitting, and sticking to the core business model, and just cranking the handle and growing that as fast as we can is the kind of aim of the game for the next couple of years.
Fantastic. What about commercial buildings? Is it just not in the cards, or maybe?
Well, we're starting now. I mean, look, there are plenty of insurance carriers that have segments of their book of business that are classified as commercial, but in fact sit in single family homes. And you've seen the doctor's office, the dentist office, the legal office. It looks like a house. It is a house. They just happen to have offices in there. It's a great starting point for us to get into the commercial side of the business. But right now it's focused on single family homes, but there are carrier partners that want to now extend this into those segments of their commercial lines business.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, you've got a blue ocean ahead, right? How many insured homes in the US? Fantastic. Is there is there a type of carrier that you're a really good fit for, and a type of carrier that you're really not? Or as long as they write homeowners, it's probably a good fit for you guys?
I mean, I think there are a lot of carriers that are a good fit for us. The carriers that are better fits for us than others is if you have a small book of business that's spread out across a lot of states with just a little bit of volume in each state, they're a little bit more difficult to work with. The carriers that have a concentration of a lot of policies in a single state or multiple states with lots of policies, those tend to be better fits for us than the small book that's spread across a large geographic area.
It makes sense for the service. There
Exactly.
has to be a critical mass to turn the service on in a new state to make sense.
That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the
Got it.
Okay, so long term, like 10 years from now, are you thinking 40 states, 45 states? Is it viable?
10 years ago, it should be in all US states, quite frankly. And if it took us that long, I'd be very disappointed. So yeah, this is a nationwide type program. And it will just roll out based on how our partners come on board and where they want to go with it, right? It's all about their book of business. and where their challenges are when they're booked. So every carrier has a little different geographic focus and a little different pain point of where their non-weather water losses are causing the most pain.
Okay. So this is not really an insurance question. So like, I don't know how interesting it is for the listeners, but I am curious. So how long does it take you to get a state from 0 to live? So if a carrier appears tomorrow in Maine, right? I don't know, a state that you haven't done before, and they do have a significant book of property in that area. How long before you're ready to go live with the coverage in that state?
60 to 90 days is generally how long it takes to bring up a new state. And that's with a new partner as well, right? So it's not only just us, the partner has to get their side of the equation set up as well, the insurance carrier partner. So yeah, it generally takes us 60 to 90 days to go to a new state. It's not that long.
Yeah, that's not that.
I mean, the thing that, and again, when I first joined Leakbot 3 years ago, I thought we would need hundreds of plumbers in a state, right, to cover a state, but you just really don't, right? For every, X number of plumbers you need, or X number of homes you need Y plumbers. It's not as extensive as you would think it would be, which makes it easy to get a state set up.
Okay.
Well, we've just, like I say, Tony, tomorrow we're announcing we've just launched 15 new ones with Nationwide. So they asked the same question and we said the same thing. We said, 60 to 90 days. And we were thinking that they were maybe going to launch into 3 or 4 more. And then once we presented the results, they came back and they said, can you launch 15 by November?
That is fantastic.
Which the answer was yes, we can.
That is fantastic. I am curious. This is well beyond the insurance side, but I am curious. Are the plumbers like an Uber-like relationship?
No, that's the difference. They're W-2, they're employees of Ondo, employees of Leakbot, yes.
Oh, interesting. So it takes few enough employees that it makes sense to go and hire
Yes.
10 employees, like 10 plumbers in Vermont to handle all Vermont kind of thing. I'm
Right.
making numbers, of course, but
Exactly. Yes. And to control that customer experience, right? We have to protect our partner's brand.
that is very true.
Anytime we've tried and we've experimented bringing third-party plumbing companies into the equation, and every time we do it, it comes back with the same result, which is a suboptimal result for us. So we just find that it's much better to go out and hire our own plumbers, train our own plumbers. And what most carriers don't know, most people don't know, is we equip those plumbers with a bunch of technology which helps them efficiently and effectively find these small micro leaks in homes. If I asked an emergency plumber to find a hidden leak in a home, most time they'd say, well, if you don't see water or when you see water, call me back. In most of the leaks we fix, many leaks that we find in homes are not, you can't see any water. They're behind a wall, they're in a ceiling, they're in a crawl space, all kinds of hidden leaks that we have to find.
Awesome. Craig and Jim, thank you very much for your time today. It is a fantastic example of risk prevention technology really becoming. I think your comment about IoT at ITC a few years back and how there were a million different players, and it was hard to figure out what they did. This is definitely the best example I have seen of that maturing to a full package that seems to me intuitive ROI sense and creates a true win-win with both the carrier and the client. So yeah, congratulations to you guys. Look forward to see you continue to grow. This is God knows we need ways to lower our expense ratio on the property side. Catastrophe is not helping. So the more that we can do on IoT enabled risk management and proactive risk management, and I'm amazed that it's turnkey, that it's will literally go fix it. Very, very, very impressive. Applied IoT risk management. I don't know what the category is.
Yep.
But yes, very impressive new category that you guys are building. Let's hope that it expands to the other things that tend to cause preventable property losses. Thank you so much for your time today. When this goes live, I will tag you both on LinkedIn and tag the company on LinkedIn. And yeah, look forward to see you guys in the community.
Yeah, thanks,
Thanks,
Tony.
Tony.
Thanks for
Thank
inviting
you.
us on. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.